With top-line wrestlers like yourself, it's almost expected now that they'll sort of segue into acting. Why do you think that is? That's like the given route now? Is it just it's a way to be in the entertainment industry and that hurts less, or?
I wasn't aware of that perception. Who makes that assumption?
I think a lot of people do. You know, when wrestlers are kind of in the main event, a lot of them end up moving into film.
Who?
Like The Rock, you know, yourself. I know a few of the slightly less bigger names like The Miz and stuff. They've done a few small film roles, right?
Okay, you give me 3 names. How many people over the past 10 years have been in the main event?
This is only because I'm not up on my wrestling so much anymore. But
Would you say more than 3?
I would say more than 3.
Okay.
We had IMDb here.
Would you also say your question is a bit speculative?
I guess it's a little bit speculative, but
Okay.
They're not going into water skiing, are they? Like,
I don't know. Maybe they are.
you don't have any thoughts on why that trajectory is there? You just don't see it as one.
I can't answer for a group. I can answer for myself.
Please do.
So what is your question?
Why have you decided to go into acting?
Because I love storytelling. I've been in WWE for a very long time, and I think if you look at those who have made the transition from WWE to film or other mediums of television, even musical live performances, if you reference Chris Jericho, I think the attraction is the ability to tell stories. And I wake up every day and love the WWE so much. And on your career path, you have a different perspective along the entire way. And it's only when you can be fortunate enough to have an extended career, which I'm very grateful for. But I keep asking myself, after all these years, why do I want to keep going back? Why do I miss it? A lot of performers will tell you, like, I need the rush. It comes down to telling stories. I love taking an audience on a ride. And I think the performers at WWE, mixing their physical attributes as well as their performance attributes, tell live stories better than anybody.
Yeah.
So there's really no difference. A movie is a story.
Yeah, just a very different kind of enjoyment being in a vocal booth doing voice acting as there is to being on a turnbuckle in front of thousands of people.
Watching the movie in a packed theater, that's a cool experience.
Yeah.
It just takes longer to tell the story. And your piece is different. Sometimes in WWE, a superstar's role is to be a guest referee or a ringside enforcer or an announcer. Sometimes you're not always in the ring doing something. It doesn't mean that you're not part of the story. So with different roles, you have to play the part that you're given. And in this particular role, I was put in a sound booth and they wanted my voice. That was the skill that they wanted. And it ended up being this awesome, beautiful movie. So once again, I read the story. I loved the story. It came out great. So for me personally, and I can't speak for anybody else except myself, I love telling stories. And that's why I don't want to leave the WWE. I want to stay in the WWE and continue to tell stories outside the WWE.
Yeah. Obviously, when The Rock first went away to Hollywood for a bit, correct me if I'm wrong, when he came back, there was kind of a narrative for a while where he was like Mr. Hollywood, and they made a thing of it in WWE. That was part of the persona. Do you expect to have to, I know you obviously have a complicated relationship with the fans already, but do you expect to have to deal with that? That, you know, there might be some backlash to you having moved away?
What is the complicated relationship I have with the fans?
And that, you know, you have this reputation of being neither loved nor loathed. It's kind of different. It's like a polarizing feeling.
That's not that complicated, right?
Well, I think it's quite complicated. Like compared to it's usually quite binary when people come out on the stage. With you, it's a lot. It varies from place to place.
Correct, but there's an audible response, so you can define what the atmosphere is in a specific place.
Yeah.
I think complicated comes when there's no noise.
Yeah, I agree. And when you've spent some time away from the ring to work on acting and stuff, is it difficult to snap back into wrestling, or you just pick it up? It's kind of muscle memory by this point.
No, I don't think it. I mean, you certainly have to be in a sense of ring shape to compete, and there's nothing that prepares you for that, except being in the ring. But like I said, it's just WWE is a very good platform for just being ready for anything in the world of entertainment because of the fans.
Yeah.
They enjoy the show. They're vocal about the responses. Sometimes they like you, sometimes they don't. And they expect you as a performer to not only do your job to the best of your ability, but also adapt to their surroundings, which I think is an added bonus that WWE provides that no other medium of entertainment has. You have to be sharp on your skills enough to be able to react to the wonderful live environment and still tell a good story.
Yeah. When you first started doing films like Ferdinand, did you find it challenging, the voice acting? Because obviously when you're doing promos in WWE, they're turned up to 100, but with voice acting it's kind of turned up to 1,000, isn't it? There's a lot of really kind of like enthusiastic.
I don't think you could get any higher on the volume button than WWE. I really don't. It wasn't difficult, and I've been asked this question a lot. Like, what did you have to do? I got into a booth with the director, Carlos Saldana, a very famous director. He's done Ice Age, he's done Rio. He's very good at what he does. Very much like in my existence in the WWE, I have full faith in the person above me, Vince McMahon. Even when in here, I'm like, man, we should kind of turn bad guy now. And he says, no, this is where I want you to go, and this is what I'd like you to do. I have faith, and I go out there and do my job. Yeah. And in this case, Carlos was like, this is kind of what I need you to do. Let's start riffing and see what happens. It was never once any difficult. It was a fun experience the whole time. I checked any reservations at the door. It is super animated and super pronounced, but so is the WWE. It's the same thing.
And just finally, there's another question you might think is speculative, but obviously, you know, the kids out there and everyone loving WWE, there's this circle of kind of, you know, more geeky, older people that will like constantly be saying like, oh, we missed the Attitude Era and that kind of stuff. What is your response to that? Do you think that's misplaced nostalgia, or do you see that as like a legitimate response?
No, well, every response is legitimate. If you tell me right now you missed the Attitude Era, I can't tell you don't. What I can tell you is we're a PG program. And if you look at the Attitude Era was TV 14 or TVMA. We're a PG program. There's nothing else I can tell you. Like, there will be no cussing, there will be no blood, there will be no headshots, there'll be no inappropriate clothing. Like there are, and those aren't our laws, those are the laws of the rating system. So to operate under a PG platform, which has totally globally expanded the WWE and created more fans, albeit geeky or not geeky, around the world, and allowed all of these performers, including myself, to go to new and wonderful places, like places in South America, China for the first time. We keep returning to Japan. We go all the Arab Emirates, just because we have made our program more digestible. I totally understand as a 40-year-old man, and if you've seen me in Trainwreck, I have a pretty adult sense of humor. I totally understand someone saying, I miss mature content in sports entertainment.
Yeah.
We are not the place for that. We are not. And that's our business model. And until it changes, I am merely a carpenter, building with the tools that are given to me. Is a promo easier when you can cuss? Sure, because you're talking trash, and trash talk is filled with cusses. But as a professional, you can't speculate and be like, I wish I could just say this, because you can't. Those are the rules. And every once in a while, we can walk the line and push into gray. But at the end of the day, our program is PG and has to be treated as such, because that's the business model of the folks who own the place.
Yeah, and that was kind of a price worth paying and able to be able to reach more people and worldwide.
Yeah, and as the global audience continues to expand, it happens with everything. If you have a garage band that dedicates, that gets a massively passionate fan base, and that garage band ends up playing stadiums, there's a group of people that hate them for doing that. But you want to take your product and get it out to as many people as you can. My life's work has not to be, my WWE mission statement isn't to be a 17-time champion or whatever. It's to get as many eyeballs on the ring as I possibly can. Because I love the WWE so much, I think we got the best gig in town, so I want everybody to watch it. So my success or failure in the ring in a win and loss perspective is irrelevant. If winning more will help me get more eyeballs, fine. If being PG will help me get more eyeballs, fine. I want to do stadiums every show. I don't want to just do it for WrestleMania. And we do stadiums every show, and I have a show on the moon, then a show on Mars. Like, that's how dedicated I am to expanding the audience. Because the more you get the word out, especially with something like WWE that transcends language. If I don't know what they're saying in the promos, I know by the body language that I like this guy or I don't, and this guy doesn't like that guy. And that's why we can go all these places, and it's such a global success. It's one of the few forms of entertainment that transcends culture, language, race, religion, anything. You go to a WWE audience, and you will see older fans that have watched for a long time, but you'll also see kids there for the first time. You'll see guys who look like this for the first time. You'll see women. You'll see older folks, every race possible. What I love the most about it, next time you watch, so they always shoot the ring in a certain way. It's called the hard camera shot.
Yeah.
Look beyond everything. Look at the audience. That's the perfect picture of what I love. It's everybody. And that's why, I mean, you want to go deep down the rabbit hole, that's why everybody nowadays is polarizing. Because our audience is too big. So that's one of the problems that we have to fix. But at the same time, it's a great problem, because if your audience is the world, how are you going to please everybody? But in the Attitude Era, when your audience was 18 to 35-year-old males, I can pinpoint probably what you like. And I can pinpoint what you don't. You don't like a brash, suit-wearing, Windsor-knot-tying billionaire throwing his weight around saying he's the boss. You do like a guy drinking beer, flipping people off, kicking people, stunning people, and saying, I'm sticking it to the man. Because that's how you feel as a rebellious 18 to 35-year-old. But when your audience goes from age 3 to age 100, you can't define one character that pleases everybody. It's impossible. It's impossible. And this is like, just this conversation right here will give you an insight as to how obsessive I am about WWE, what it does, and who it reaches. And this is a very long answer to your Attitude Era question.
That is good.
But that's when wrestling drew me back, the Attitude Era, because I was 21 years old. And that's what I wanted to watch. But until we get the go-ahead to make TVMA stuff, it's going to be PG. So I think everyone who is involved with the Attitude Era appreciates all the respect. And I know us who aren't in the Attitude Era, and I've kind of seen both sides of the spectrum as I came in on the tail end of it and was a primary reason for the transition. I don't feel slighted at all, because the fact that you watch and complain at least means you're watching.